Hello there. Welcome back to Round the Grid. It has been a while, but we are finally back, and today we're going to get started with a new team. So this season we played as Mercedes. We have won the Constructors, we have won the Drivers, and as a result, we'll be taking on the next team that we have yet to play with, which is Haas, who only scored a singular point last season. And with that in mind, we are just going to kind of skip the rest of this season. There's not really much going on. We've had our win. We've had a pretty good season, all things considered. With that in mind, just going to get to the end of this and get started with our new journey at Haas. And here we are. And before we leave for Haas, I thought it would just be fun to take a look at our race target sponsorship income, 97 million. We didn't quite reach that 100 million, but 97 out of 12 is still pretty impressive if you ask me. And with that in mind, just going to take a look at a little bit before we jump onto Haas here. Race season schedule for 2028 here. We could do an adjustment. We could go partial or even full. It's not really going to mess us up in any way, shape, or form. It's going to make things a little bit more challenging, for sure. I don't think it's going to have much of an effect. So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to leave this open for next season. I probably asked this last time too, and I've just forgotten. Apologies if that is the case. But if you would like to see me do a partial, even full race schedule adjustment going into, well, not this next season, but the following, please let me know in the comments, and we might just go ahead and do that to add just a slight amount of extra challenge to us. Now, as has been the team this season, Show didn't score too many points. He finished 7th with 150, and then we have Rivas with 555 in first. So yeah, Rivas scored the majority of our points, and honestly, Rivas is the main driving force of the championship, unsurprisingly. 705 points total. We basically double our team rating, and that 8 target position has been turned into first. And well, we were only expected to score points in 50% of the season races by 2029. So I think we can say quite decisively we've beaten this one out of the park, and my team principal rating has reached the maximum level, which means I should now be able to take on any team, which is good. Rivas is still developing, which is kind of scary because that's going to give us some harder fights this coming season. And in terms of the regulation changes, we have some very small changes to chassis and bigger changes to side pods, which means cars for the most part are going to be pretty similar going into next year. We've also had a change here for the wind tunnel regulations, where top teams get more, bottom teams get less, which is going to make it a little bit harder. And the same here for the CFD. So we're going to be a little bit slower developing this next season, but I don't think it's going to be a huge problem. That said, let's just jump straight into it. Let us go to our new workplace at Haas and see what we can do here. We are switching teams to the Haas team, who seem to have Lawson, and I believe Ocon is still there if I'm not mistaken. Team rating of barely above 1 star. Season objective is 9th. We do have the best car though, first out of 11, and then we're last in everything else. That is kind of an interesting juxtaposition, and it kind of just shows you just how important the driver is rather than the car. These guys have, according to the game, the best car. They score just that one singular point. That's actually kind of nuts. We'll have to see if that is also the case after the regulation changes are taking effect here. We're even starting in depth here. The Haas experience, we're negative 700k at the moment. Okay, so podium contender by 2028. That is this season. To be fair, should be achievable if we do have the best car. Player strategy is superior to AI strategy in every situation almost. Weather being my crux. But in most cases, we should be able to out-strategize the AI. Balance, yep, not great. Start off there. We do want to develop our car before the first race. That's going to make that a little bit harder. Not a lot of work done on the chassis here. We're still losing about 5% performance in drag and airflow. And on the side pods, we're losing a ton. If we do have the best car here, we might very well do something very, very different from what we usually do and see if the wind tunnel, the side pods from the get-go here, because they barely done any work on it. This is one project tops. Suspension, they put in probably 2 projects there. Underfloor, probably 1, maybe 2. Rear wing, same kind of case here. And looking at the front wing, yeah, probably 2 projects on most of these. I'm still surprised the AI just still hasn't been given the ability to prioritize parts that are losing performance. Like, you're losing 25% on your side pods. That is going to destroy any gain you get from your suspension, underfloor, rear wings, basically all 5 of the other parts. AI really should have a capability to be a little bit smarter in prioritizing research. I can understand the game will get a little bit more difficult that way, but it's really, really needed. With that said, let's go to powertrain manufacturers. We are probably going to swap off Renault here. If we have Lawson and Ocon, that is already a big kind of handicap. And let's be honest here, the extra durability that Renault gives you, the extra fuel efficiency, is not really worth it compared to the RB powertrain's extra power here. Mercedes is great, particularly if you are in a position where you need to save money. And generally, this is probably the best power unit. But in the case of us here being stuck with Lawson and Ocon, who probably are both around the 80 mark, maybe 81, 82, we can't really afford to do that. We saw with Show last season that he only managed to secure a 7th place. This is going to be a season where we have 2 shows, basically. So I know that is slanted towards Ocon, and Lawson might be a little bit higher based on his growth. But I think we need to be just smart from the get-go here and pick up the Honda RB powertrain, because if we don't, we're going to suffer. We can take a little bit of engine degradation, and honestly, I was spot on, 80 and 81. So what can we expect here? Low smoothness. Most into pace stats, honestly. High snapping control on Lawson. What about Ocon here? Pretty balanced, high accuracy, balanced everywhere else. Little lacking on the cornering, not gonna lie. So we do need to prioritize getting that mentality back up. So not happy with the race engineer. No, sorry, that's wrong. That's the current thanks. So the team race results has had an effect on him. He'll lose that once season starts. The staff are bad, the facilities are bad. And honestly, Stuart King and Faris Ogby, let's take a look at them. The Stuart King here is Ocon's new race engineer this season. Is the way that I am translating this. 83 rated. We have 87 Paul Rivera. Is there actually a staff member that is rated lower than Ocon? Oh, I can see why they're unhappy with Farah. 73 overall. The others aren't bad, honestly, so we'll probably retain Julian here. And we'll probably try and re-sign Ocon or give Haas an upgrade here to make them more challenging in future seasons. We'll have to see. Rivera we're keeping. Yeah, Ocon is potentially the only one here who's going to be getting the boot, I think. And like we usually do, we're going to put these guys over marketability. Let's face it, we're not going to be able to grow these guys into anything, you know, race defining. I'm just going to say it straight up. None of these guys are going to ever be a force in F1, as sad as that reality is. So we're just going to go ahead here and put them onto the marketability aspect. And honestly, Lawson here, 25 years old, he's not going to develop in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to slap it onto car development here. And we're going to do the same maybe with Ocon. We might actually lose a little bit of, you know, driver development. They're going to lose some stats as a result of this. I think it's going to be the best choice long term. Honestly. The car performance has not changed, which means that, yeah, this just isn't accurate. And if you take a look at the car analysis here, we are the best car at the moment. 70 top speed, 50 RS, 30 air tolerance. That 30 air tolerance, I think, is doing a lot of heavy lifting, so is the DRS effectiveness. This is kind of what you expect in a car that is, on paper, the best one, but just isn't performing. 15 in medium, 15 high speed, 19 low. Yeah, they don't even have tire preservation. How does this actually stack up against the Mercedes? So the Haas is still a better car than the Mercedes we drove last season. Not by much, but it is. And of course, as we shed weight, this is going to become even more apparent. Honestly, we have a good car this season. I can't complain about that. 80% dirty air, 76% tire preservation. We're getting to the point right now where everyone is going to have max cars at one point. And what's going to decide championships is going to be the drivers. So I need to try and make the best that we can out of both Ocon and Lawson. That's going to be a little bit challenging. Also, negotiation. I'm going to need an upfront package, I feel. Let's see here. 45 million for these guys to give 18 million upfront. That's actually pretty good. But 21 million in engagement is not what I would like. Honestly, if there's a 3 million difference and 26 million is upfront here, most in race day, I'll take that package any time of the week. You all know that I do love race day packages. Race day packages are the way to go, if you ask me. I don't want anything that hinders the mentality. I don't really care about driver development rate because none of our drivers are, you know, prospects. But I still need that mentality to be maintained at a high level. And honestly, like this balance package and a little bit of engagement here. This should be pretty decent. 35 million up front, 32 in race day, and then we have 50 million in engagement. Not the worst sponsor package ever. And it is, in fact, time to start putting the car together. Hopefully, with a couple good results, we can turn around the frowns. Let's see here, in terms of how we want to design this car. Yeah, as expected, you can see what was affected by research here. Airflow, drag reduction, and then we have the 80% engine cooling. How is the other part looking? 70%. This also translates to around 70%. Rear wing is same. So 70-80% is where the cars are starting to plateau a little bit. They'll probably go up to 85 over the course of the season, maybe a little bit more. I'll see what the regulation changes. But yeah, here, we're going to invest in side pods. We're going to CFD the side pods here purely because they are the part that is 20% behind everything else. And as a result, I do want to catch up a little bit on that. That is going to be the priority here. A little bit weirder than how we usually do it, not gonna lie. And honestly, I'm not gonna invest in airflow front. There's no point in doing that. We don't need any more engine cooling either. We can definitely lose about 10% and still be very, very happy. So we're gonna do this as our first side project. We are gonna, of course, rush it. Have to, basically. Let's get that one started. We're also going to get started here on the chassis. It takes a long time to choose, basically. So let's just get that out of here. Drag reduction, DRS delta, and engine cooling. We sacrifice those like that. And already you can see that this car is starting to shape up into something really, really good. Brush it, put an extra engineer on it, and we should still have enough time to make front and rear wings. Just want to get the suspension, underfloor, chassis, and side pods out of the way first. And honestly here, do I want one ring? Well, I do. We barely lose any top speed. Steady air tolerance, we don't care about that. We have way too much of it to begin with. So yeah, let's do this. Let us rush. Honestly, let's do this one normal. We'll need to rush one more project, and that can be the suspension. So we can have that second side pod and also a front wing and a rear wing done in time. I do need to be a little bit... we do have a lot of money now after the sponsorships. But I do still need to be a little bit careful with my spending. Because if I'm not, I'm liable to put myself into a troublesome situation. And you've seen that before. Let's just put it like that. So that is going to be our initial work here on the car. Be a big deal. And right now, all we need to do is make new parts. I'll be setting up a front wing, a rear wing, and of course, second side pod. Let's see how this car shapes up in 2 months' time. Before we get that far over, we should do a quick update here on, well, the team lineup. So Behrman and Yamamoto will be at Williams. We have Antonelli and Rivas at Mercedes. Verstappen and Albon at the Red Bulls. Bottas and Norris at Aston. Michel Palumbo at Ferrari. A new face has entered the scene alongside Piastri, Tsunoda and Gasly at RB. Pocher and Russell at... are around the grid team, Schumacher and Stroll in the Sauber, Hamilton and Sargeant at Alpine. I still feel like this is a heresy. And then Paris is still chilling in McLaren alongside Leclerc. And then, of course, we have Lawson and Ocon. I think we have the lowest rated team, maybe beside Sauber here. So, yeah, our drivers are going to give us a little bit of a challenge here. And particularly, the challenge is going to be to beat Yamamoto. Should probably also take a look here and see if we find any interesting talents, and if I do, I'll show you. But generally here doesn't seem to be anything super promising. with the Ducks in here, seemingly the highest rated, alongside Montoya, Loke, and F3. F2, Mini, Lindblad, could potentially take a step up. Maloney, Crawford. Yeah. I would like to see if we could find some really, really good new gens, but I'll take a look at that in a second. First side by design is complete. I've started the second one. I'm still in the works here. 46 days until Sakir. I also just realized that we did kind of forget to take a look at the facilities. They are apparently the worst on the grid, so this should be interesting. And honestly, the factory design center, both of them being level 3, they've invested in wind and CFD. The fools. And then the car part test center suspension sim being level 1. I have to kind of agree with that. Pretty bad facilities all considered. They haven't even upgraded the team up or race sim at this point. Probably invest in that. Hospitality area, but at least they have the memorabilia room. No helipad. Let's get started on that. But honestly, I should probably wait with this until we get a little bit closer to season start. The team up takes a long time to upgrade, so we're just going to get started with that one right away. And honestly, I want to upgrade the race simulator here. Right now, it has no purpose, and I think our money might be better spent elsewhere. I'm a little bit unsure, though. We might go for upgrading the suspension and car part test center this season. So we'll save the money for now. We'll think a little bit about it, and we'll figure something out before the start. Sorry for all the segues here. I think I'm done with them. Let's try and get these designs finished and see what the car is going to look like come season start. As we get to the season start here, the helipad has reached level 5. We have done another chassis design. And generally, people are a little bit less upset with each other with our investment into, well, cheap facilities. Financially, I spent most of the money. We only have 7 millions left. But at least now we are back to neutral mentality, which is going to help these stats just a smidge. It's going to be a little bit more helpful in actually getting a good result. Now, the AI has also been developing their cars. We are down to 11 now. But this before we put any of our parts on. At least there has been some development from the AI teams. And we are also going to start another development here. Basically, what we're going to be focusing on this season is getting the side pod and also the chassis back up to that 80% level. Where, well, basically our other parts are. That's going to be the main goal, the main, well, development strategy, if you will. And then we'll probably focus on research to deal with any regulation changes that might occur. So with that said, let's get started here on actually upgrading our car and see what effects it will have. So as you can see here, we've already made a second chassis design, but the difference is pretty minuscule. The shed weight, however, is huge for us here in terms of the chassis. This alone is going to basically make us a lot more competitive. So the chassis alone being installed here puts us within, should be top 10 finishing every time. Let's add the front wing here. Decent chunk of low-speed cornering there. This should alone make us the best low-speed cornering team, I think. And it did. Pretty strong already with just 2 out of our 6 upgrades. The rear wing, medium. For the most part, there isn't really much else to be gained here. Just a tiny bit of top speed and DRS because the stats are already so high. But compared to this one, it does bump us up a place. But we're already at the top, so now we're the best medium speed team as well. A little bit more to go on in terms of top speed and DRS itself. That is fine. We'll be getting a lot of cornering here from the side pod and also top speed. And honestly, this alone now makes us a very, very dominant team, if you will. And honestly, I would not mind being 20th here on engine cooling and dirty air, because you don't really need much more than 60 to 70%. We're already up at 80. So all in all, we're in a pretty, again, very strong position. Now, the chassis here, sorry, the underflow is not really going to negative affect us much, but as you see, just 1% dirty air loss is basically very, very negative for our ranking, but I'll take that for a lot of cornering. And finally, the suspension reduces our tire preservation by 5%, a bit of top speed. And with this, I think we have a car here that even Ocon and Lawson can get a title in. Still certain DRS effectiveness, but again, at this point, doesn't really matter much. And if we take a look at the car analysis here, I don't know who is the second best team. Ferrari is not super far behind, all things considered. They could still be a big threat. They've actually added weight to their car. So as they start shedding it, you can actually see them overtake us. Not gonna lie, that could be bad. McLaren has started shedding weight. They're a little bit closer than Ferrari at the moment, so we're still gonna have close fights, even though it says that we are first in everything. Red Bull has added weight. They've done the exact same thing the Forza Ferrari have done. Mercedes has also added weight. Honestly, I would have expected Mercedes to be a little bit more competitive, but I guess the sliders have done a lot of the heavy lifting for us. Alpine barely shed weight, but it's actually closer than us in a lot of the other teams, particularly in the low-speed cornering. But it's actually the second best low-speed cornering team. Williams have 97 rated Yamamoto, who's probably going to be a problem this season too. Look at this. They've shed a lot of weight compared to the other cars, but Yamamoto can definitely overcome this difference in cornering. I'm almost completely certain of that, so that is going to be a little bit challenging. RB also has a very strong car by the looks of it. But yeah, I think RB will be a little bit more manageable than Williams with Tsunoda and Gasly there. Sauber is a non-issue. Aston is a non-issue. It's actually the third best cornering car. Yeah, my Mercedes reign did not go very well, as it turns out. Williams is fifth. Who's the third? Am I just blind? Have I clicked on them and just didn't realize? I think this is probably just a result of them having one car be good at cornering and one car be bad at cornering. But yeah, you can see kind of here too with Mercedes. The difference between best to quote-unquote worst isn't that huge. So I'm looking forward to this season. But yeah, we have a very, very strong car. We'll have to see if we can actually use this car to give Liam and Ocon the results they want. Ocon, with the upgrades to the car now, is positive. The car performance is helping. Staff is still a big no-no, however. And he's also not happy with his bonuses. Paul Lawson here, pretty happy with everything except staff and facilities. So again, as we upgrade those smaller, cheaper facilities, we'll get that sorted. Now, in terms of Ocon, there is actually a couple of interesting drivers that are free transfers, particularly Sainz. He is old though, so maybe not the best option. But speaking of old, just 2 years older than Ocon, and well, 4 overall better. Not a worst choice ever. Is there anyone on outgoing contracts we could try and snatch Verstappen to Haas? I think that would be just funny in its own right, so we might try and do that. But other than that, in the top drivers there, there aren't many better options there. We might actually snatch Colombo here, who is an AI driver. Done 2 F3 podiums, 1 F2 podium. And Ferrari has decided that they want to gamble on the Italian, which, to be fair, is very Ferrari-esque. But with that said, Bahrain is upon us. Let us see here if we can live up to the hype. And if Ocon and Lawson are going to give me a hard time this season. Let's just jump straight into it. We get 668,000 for finishing 18th or higher in the best car on the grid. Let's go. Our first qualifying session is upon us here. Let us see how both Lawson and Ocon do here. So, Lawson up 2/10 in the first sector, which honestly could just be due to Bottas being in the way here. But the question is going to be, will this qualifying basically prove that we can fight the Williams, or are they still going to be a little bit quicker than us? So Lawson sets up 1:27.8. What is actually the lap record around here? It's a 1:30.4 in race spec. So 27.8 is very respectable. And as I mentioned here, the question is going to be, is there anyone that is going to get closer to that time? Russell has already separated us. And that is in the ATG car, which isn't super good, mind you. So this season could still become one of struggle, and where strategy has to basically be employed. Yamamoto now is on an outlap, and this is the car that we need to look out for. Yamamoto could be the big threat here as she gets started on her outlap. And it's just a green first sector. That is Really not good enough. And we do have Paris in the way too. But we have plenty of cars here actually splitting themselves between us. Yamamoto too. Which means that we're actually pretty similar right now in terms of pace. There's a couple of tenths separating the top 6 here. The top 3 separated by less than that. So we will go through here. There's no way we go out. The Q3 is going to get very, very interesting to see exactly where we stack up versus the Williams team, versus Piastri, Russell, as you can see here. It's going to be a close fight by the looks of it. Season is off to a bad start here for Norris, who has actually managed to crash in qualifying. That is kind of a testament to how quick these cars are getting right now. Because usually, that sort of an impact or that sort of incident would just have been a spin and nothing more. But Norris actually managed to get all the way to the wall. Just qualifying it, we are still looking good. Lawson and Ocon are first and third, with just 2 minutes to go here. I think we will be okay. Behrman has a bit of a lockup. It should still be safely through, however, so I'm not worried. And with that in mind, we'll have to see how Q3 go here. The banker laps in Q3 have been completed, and we have beat Porsche here by just 1,000 of a second at the moment. So top 3 separated by just 300s as it stands. Both Williams here didn't have the best of runs, and neither did Bottas, but we'll have to see how we want to handle this situation. We are going to send our cars out on fresh tires because, well, we kind of have to. And the question is just, when do we do that? I think the answer is now, so we can kind of get out here in a good window without having to deal with any sort of traffic. This should just about ensure that scenario. Ensure that we don't get in trouble with other cars here. So Ocon, 1:27.3 is the time to beat here. We'll have to see if we can do that. Lawson will have a very similar challenge. I got them the other way around right now. But at least our confidence is high, and Ocon immediately sets a purple first sector, improving on his first run. Improvement for Lawson too here. So that is a very promising start to this qualifying run. Can Ocon get a second purple though? No. Yellow middle sector. Yellow middle sector for Lawson too. And that is not what we needed. As Prix found just those tiny bit of thousandths here that he needed to get ahead. Ocon improves his time. Lawson does not improve his. And Prix has found 4 thousandths of a second, which was enough to get him past Lawson, ironically enough. Next up here, we have to see what Verstappen and, of course, Yamamoto can do. And if they can be a problem here. Verstappen cannot, Yamamoto improves, but not enough. And the top 6 here are separated by less than 2 tenths. I'd say we're going to have a pretty close field this season. And if Porsche is going to perform well, if Russell is going to perform well, it might actually be a bigger threat than Yamamoto over Williams. And with Verstappen in the mix as well, we could see a lot of teams take points off each other here. But we have had a pretty good start here to the season with qualifying. Let's see if we can keep that up in the race itself. And in terms of strategy here, it is Bahrain. You all know what we're doing. The light soft is just so insanely strong around here that there is no real point in using anything else. And honestly, we'll have to see if we kind of switch the order a little bit when we go into medium. I'm a little bit undecided. We are definitely starting with a light soft. We might switch the medium and the soft stint here. This shall do the trick nicely. Next up, we do want to underfuel. There's just no reason not to. It is incredibly powerful. You save your engine, you're still quicker than if you didn't do it. There's literally no reason not to underfuel in this game, unfortunately. So let us just get everything set up here. We don't care if we lose 2-3 position on race start, because we will be getting them back with the light soft tire. Let's get into the Bahrain GP.
And this is it, the Bahrain Grand Prix. And it's lights out. And
Lights out and away we go. Pretty terrible start there for Prix. And that has actually allowed Lawson here to get ahead. And honestly, Yamamoto here might also have a chance to sneak ahead, and she just does. But then, with the start that definitely betrayed him a little bit. With that, we are now 1-2 from the get-go. And Yamamoto is probably still going to get involved here. Would not surprise me. But right now, we can at least play a little bit of a team game. And we have the two ATG cars and then Verstappen. I really should fix their icon here, but that's due to me using a mod pack when I made this team. Yamamoto is having actually to drive quite defensively here. Poche is pretty aggressive. So we already got in a second for our cars. But honestly, with that in mind, just going to go neutral here on the ERS. Might as well just save that energy because we're not getting away from this train no matter what we want to do. They're going very aggressive. We're going very, well, not really slow, but we're going very measured. And we could potentially also see our drivers screw each other over. But we shall see. For now, we are just going to settle in. We're going to allow these first few laps to run their course. Then we'll see how things shape up as we get a little bit further in this. As of right now, Lawson and Ocon are kind of trading confidence. So I'll just leave them be. It's a little bit risky, but honestly, if both have peak confidence, it should be okay. And just as I say that, the unfortunate happens there as Lawson gets pushed off track and just decides to cut the grass. And with that, Lawson has fallen down to 7th place here. Ocon down to 3rd, but yeah, Lawson didn't really lose any confidence from that, and it's just one of those unfortunate racing incidents which could have been avoided, but I decided to take the risk, and I probably regret that just a little bit right now. Just 12 laps into this race, and Russell has decided to be the first car to pit, which isn't a bad strategy, honestly. He has a lot of free air to contend with. There is nothing necessarily bad about this, but a lot of cars are wasting their softs there. Bottas has done the same, 36% left. Verstappen is doing something very similar to us, does have 70% of tire left, but we also don't have the best smoothness of our drivers, so as you can imagine, this could just be Verstappen running standard and still have a huge advantage over us. But as things stand, we are still running up front. We have regained our positions. Let's see if we can keep the rest of this race clean. We have a yellow flag here as Sargeant has been involved in a crash. Norris has not had a good start to the season, crashing quali, and then has an incident here with Sargeant. And the Alpine paint train continues here. Sargeant picking up. I assume it is from wing damage. Yeah, it looks like that end plate is in fact missing. No safety car, anything like that. And we already have Yamamoto, Behrman, a lot of cars here starting to pit. Russell's still ahead of the train. And honestly, at this point, we might just consider going attack and burning the rest of these softs. And then we're probably going to go in the medium and do something very, very similar. Love to see if our boys can do it cleanly, though. They do tend to just run close to each other. So hopefully we can still keep this clean on track as Piastri now goes into the pit lane, and basically just don't need them to do anything stupid here and we'll be fine. Let's cross our fingers that we will be fine. We are now on lap 23, and with 23 seconds needed to pit here, we are going to try and get one of our drivers in right now. Lawson is the lower, so we'll get him in on a medium tire. Just going to destroy that medium tire immediately and then go to another soft. And then we'll do Ocon the next lap here. Basically, we're going to be hitching ourselves to the Piastri Yamamoto train here. They have used a lot of tire, which means we do have a pretty decent advantage. And Norris has also performed a lockup here, so he's not having a good time either. We are going to come out a few seconds behind Russell. Don't get me wrong. Russell is, well, 15 seconds behind us, so he has 8 seconds of advantage right now. That isn't really a concern per se. I think we'll still be fine. Lawson is going to need a very clean and very fast stop here. Get out ahead of Piastri and Yamamoto. And he does, in fact, do that. I'm also going to allow for a little bit of deploy here because I don't want Yamamoto and Piastri to be able to latch on to Lawson here. If we can run our own race and take advantage of fresh tires and running full attack, that would be huge. Basically, right now, we are trying to hunt down Russell. We're not trying to mess with anyone else. So let us see here if Lawson can extend this gap a little bit. Piastri and Yamamoto fighting. It's going to be very, very helpful to us, don't get me wrong. Ocon, can you get out ahead of Piastri and Yamamoto? That's going to be our second question here. And if you do, can you create that same gap? That's going to be really, really close. And honestly, we're just a little bit off there. If we started the pit process 1 lap earlier, it would have been a lot better. But that is just on me. I'm going to allow him to sit behind for a lap here just to heat up the tires. Then we're going to start going a little bit more aggressively. Try and catch up to Lawson again, who already has 3.5 seconds to Yamamoto and Piastri. So, as you can see, strategy is pretty much effective here. We should be able to catch Russell. Russell's currently being held up by, well, drivers without tires, if you will. They might be trying something insane like a one-stop. Ocon here, getting by is going to be the key, and looks like he's already making moves. Got pushed wide there, though. But I don't doubt that Ocon will be able to get by, particularly once we give him a little bit of deploy power here. That should make that job a lot easier. We do have better tires. We have arguably the better car. Tried to go 3 wide there, the cheeky bugger. Couldn't really make that work, unfortunately. Yeah, Lawson has already caught up to the frontier, and as you can see, we already basically have a pit stop on Verstappen, Pocher, and the Ferrari driver. So staying out here definitely has not benefited them in any way, shape, or form. And right now, Yamamoto has been left behind. And honestly, bringing Piastri with me here wouldn't be the worst idea ever, as we see 2 cars jump into the pit lane. Yamamoto is the bigger threat, so I don't mind DRS pulling just Piastri if possible. Closer now. Yes, by Russell is about to take the lead here ahead of Palumbo. So all in all, a pretty good start to the season, I dare say. We have 2 very, very competitive cars right now. Of course, as the AI develops, it's going to get less competitive. But because every car is so strong, if you will, every car is very, very high on the expertise levels, it's going to get harder and harder to actually have any sort of development here. So for the AI, it's going to be shedding weight that is going to be the key here to becoming competitive. And right now, Ocon overtakes Russell, and we're back to a 1-2 scenario. Let's see if we can keep it up. As mentioned, we're just going to burn these medium tires as much as possible. And if we see a good window to pit, we'll definitely try and take advantage of it. With just 17, 18 laps to go here, we're still running 1-2. We have decent gaps down to 4th place here. Verstappen and Rivas are definitely going to try and go till the end. And honestly, I think we can see the same here from Piastri. But I don't want to do more overtakes than I need to. So we're basically going to start the pit process here. We're going to get Lawson in here first on this next lap. That's going to be the goal. Then we're going to get Ocon in on the following lap. We don't want to double stack if we can avoid it. And we will, of course, also need to turn down the aggression here. But as you can see, Piastri is reeling us in. And I would like to, if possible, just try and avoid that as much as possible. Which sounds, you know, pretty obvious. But it's basically just the intent here. As Rivas will basically be right next to us here. That's not really a problem. We're still kind of in a very, very strong position here, all things considered. But they're definitely a lot quicker than us. And in this case, it's going to put Ocon, once again, in peril, if you will. We'll have to see how this stop for him goes. Needs to be clean and needs to be quick. And we do pull that off. 2.3 seconds. And Lawson here does in fact beat the teammate out. So, sorry, Ocon does in fact beat the teammate out. So that is not a big problem. Not Lawson, Ocon. We're just 6 seconds off Verstappen. With vastly superior soft tires, we will have no problem reeling him in here. I can basically guarantee it. Unless, of course, our boys decide to bully each other again. With our time management here, it has been extremely smooth sailing. You can see that we are keeping these softs pretty well alive. We can actually run conserve here and still be within the positive temperature window. And we have already gained 11 seconds on Verstappen and more importantly Yamamoto. So a great start to the season here. They all have very used tires. Pocher has not had the best start here, although the qualifying performance was great. He has lost out in the race itself. Currently, we are kind of just trying to set ourselves up here for fastest lap. I'd like to try and beat the record if possible. Judging by time setting qualifying, that is definitely possible. We could also make it a little bit easier by just slowing Ocon down a little bit more, or basically speeding Lawson up. But I want to give both the boys here the best chance at setting the fastest lap. So let's just get started. It's a little bit early to start deploying and pushing, but I don't think it is the worst idea I've ever had. I definitely had worse ones at other times. Let's see here. Sectors. Purple, green. So both of them are improving. And Ocon is improving the most right now. Schumacher could turn out to be a little bit of a happy little accident here, giving Ocon DRS to the line. It looks like he's more just going to be in the way, but it is, in fact, fastest lap goes the way of Ocon. And then, no, it's still Ocon, not Lawson. 28.7. That's a pretty decent improvement. And we will, in fact, take that. I'm just going to put both these guys back down to standard. No need to risk it. Final lap here. Ocon is in the lead. Then we have Lawson. Almost a pit stop. Well, basically a pit stop down to Verstappen. I dare say this has been a pretty good first race of the season. But Verstappen did do the soft to medium strategy, which just is basically a pit stop slower, I feel, around here. So I don't know if we can celebrate too hard with that one. But 1-2 here. Great start. Verstappen takes third place, which is great. Hampering Williams a little bit. Behrman did not have a good race down in 19th here. And Schumacher and Sauber are not going to have a good time. Neither will Stroll. Tonelli, a little bit disappointing down in 18th. Rivas still managed to get 6th. Kind of impressive in the worst car on the grid. Yeah, 1-2 start here is pretty amazing. With this result, we see ourselves ahead of the drivers, of course. There are points for pole position, there are points for fastest lap. With that, we already have 3 times the points of Red Bull. So, very healthy start here. And honestly, again, we are going to need to perform well in the first 10 races. It's just that simple. We could see the rest of the teams come back. The AI kind of has a funny little thing where they are weak at the start of the season most of the time. They have a strong middle part of the season. And then they fall off towards the end as engine penalties and just bad choices with components start taking their toll. So if we can just take advantage of the weaker sections, if you will, of the AI, that's going to do the job for us. We're just going to head straight into Jeddah. It's just 4 days later. Let's see if we can keep this up and basically pick up another win here. Qualifying in Jeddah is over and done with, and we have Ocon fastest by a couple of tenths, followed by Verstappen, Russell, Lawson, and Yamamoto. So these 5 probably are going to be very common to see in the top 5, I would assume. Rivas might also get in there if Mercedes make a little bit of a better car, and somehow Sargeant pulled the Alpine into top 10. That is quite insane on its own. But we are going to get started here with Jeddah, and honestly, I think we have another 1-2 in the menu, unless we make a pretty bad mistake. Just going to say it straight out. The strategies here, don't really want to do anything that involves using a hard tire. As you can see, hard tire not really any quicker than the medium. As things stand, we can of course tweak things around to make it a little bit closer, but medium is still expected to be faster with basically the same strategy. What I think we are going to do here is, I am very tempted to go for a two-stopper. Overtaking is difficult, but in Lawson's case here, we have 3 medium tires, and for Ocon, we only have 1 medium and the hard. But I am tempted to try something a little bit different. We go full attack, we destroy that tire, and we maybe get a little bit early on the soft. But I have 2 medium tires. I want to try something a little bit different. Medium, soft here. I want to see how this works, if it is viable around here. It is supposed to be 9 seconds quicker. We are pitting fairly early, but with the grid being very close, I don't think that's going to lead to a lot of traffic. So I think that will be okay. And similarly here, we'll try a 2-stopper for Ocon as well. I'm a little bit cocky here to do this, let's be honest. This is a cocky strategy to do a 2-stopper in Saudi where you can't really overtake. Well, not really Saudi, Jeddah. Overtaking is downright difficult, if not impossible. So yeah, a little bit cocky. Do I want to do it? Yes. So we'll do this. We'll go full attack towards the end of the stints. And that is going to be the play here. So make it a little bit more interesting, but honestly, I think we kind of have to. In Bahrain, we have a huge advantage because everyone decided to go long on the mediums. I don't think we're going to have the same sort of advantage here. Let's just put it like that. With that said, underfueling is completed. We just need to go full attack, serve, and deploy. Same here. Now, of course, because this is Jeddah, the risk is, of course, that we can get a red flag. But I just want to do this. It's fun. It's something different than what we usually do. That makes it interesting.
The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
We are the only cars, with the exception of a RB there, that are on the medium tire. That's a pretty poor start here for Lawson. It's going to be in danger from Yamamoto as a result of that. And probably will be losing a position here, and he does not do that. Somehow managed to get a way better exit than Yamamoto did. And just takes that place back immediately. Ocon retains first, just chilling out front. Lawson is potentially even going to get Russell here. Is Russell actually on a medium tire? He is. Didn't see that. Yeah, Tsunoda and Russell are the only ones doing alternate strategies here. So with that in mind, we should still be able to pit at a pretty decent time for us. For now, though, it is, again, just the first 5 laps where everyone goes full send. Let's see how things go here. As Lawson gets the door straight up blocked there. Can't make that pass. I'm going to go ahead here and turn DRS on neutral. Or ERS on neutral. As there's no need to waste it right now. We have DRS to give with the car in front. And honestly, losing a position or two wouldn't be the worst thing ever right now. Let's see how things look as we get closer to our first pit stop. And we have gotten a red flag here way before we got even close to our pit stops here, just lap 8. And that's going to change things a little bit here. Piastri and the other Ferrari here, Palumbo, seem to have come together. And that is very unfortunate for the Ferrari teams. This is kind of also a little bit curious on how this happened. But first, we need to screenshot for posterity. And we also do need to come up with a strategy. But yeah, that looks like pretty significant damage on probably both cars, all things considered. Looking at Piastri's car, I have a feeling that this man might have just locked up into the rear. We'll have to see. Front wing damage, everything, but hard to say. Strategy, though. We need to come up with a alternative. Now that we have gotten that red flag. And honestly, at this point, doing this is probably just the best we can do. Not gonna lie. This is probably the best option. And for Ocon, who doesn't have a medium anymore, things are gonna get a little bit weird. But looking at this should be very viable. So I don't think it's gonna be that weird. Yeah, we're gonna do this. It's just no better option. It's either this or we do put on a hard tire. We could theoretically go hard tire until the end here. And as you can see, 23 seconds faster to do that. So even if I run this in normal or, normal, standard, we still would get 20 seconds worth of race time doing this. So this is what we'll do with Ocon. We can't actually do this with Lawson because Lawson only has one fresh soft tire. So Lawson is in a little bit more of a challenging boat. This is just going to have to be what we can do for him. It's literally the best that we can do. But yeah, with that, we have new strategies available for this red flag. I'm very, very curious what happened here. Does actually Piastri at fault? No!
And makes contact with the wall. And that's
wild.
Had in mind when they woke up this morning.
So the first Ferrari had an incident and just veered back onto track and hit the second Ferrari. I really wish I had more angles because that looked kind of insane. Not gonna lie, that looked pretty insane. But the angles didn't leave us much to work with there. So Yeah, basically, Colombo here did have a bit of a spin into the wall, and then he slides back on the track
Sense of deja
and
vu
just
here
clips his
as the
teammate,
players once
and then
again
both Ferraris
race the
are out.
countdown. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Apologies for the loudness there. I don't know why the game suddenly decided to feel like 10 times louder. I'll try and tune that down a little bit. But yeah, we have Ocon here in the correct setup. We have Lawson in the correct setup. And yeah, Palumbo did in fact get the penalty, which isn't that surprising. But I don't know if crashing and having no control of your car should be a penalty to begin with. In that case, he did in fact get that rewarded by one. Guess you could say that it is dangerous driving, even if you no longer have any tires, basically. Yeah, third and fourth here after the restart, that is perfectly okay. Russell here on a used soft tire. I'm very curious how this stint is actually going to work out, and if anyone's going to be insane enough to try and do 40 laps on the medium here. I can see that potentially happening. For now, though, we'll allow things to just run their course. Then we'll get back onto this. Also here, we're going to deploy a little bit, and by extension, pull Ocon along. I think we will be able to catch Russell and Verstappen very, very soon. We now have a virtual safety car as we have our second incident of the race here, and it is Perez who has crashed and is out. Currently, we are basically getting towards the pit lane, and honestly, here for Lawson, we could potentially try and pit a little bit early here and maybe run conserve. We do save a little bit of time here on the virtual safety car, so we might have to. Everyone is going to be pitting very soon anyway, so we might as well take advantage of this virtual safety car. And let's face it here, if we look at the time considerations, it's just 3 seconds saved, which isn't a ton, but it is going to basically allow Lawson to still be close to the back here, get a little bit of confidence boost from pitting. It might still be a little bit too early to do this, so we'll pit, we'll go conserve on the soft tires, and just sit at the back of the grid for a little while. Let's see what Perez actually did here to force that the virtual safety car. Unfortunately, it just locks up into the wall, and luckily did not, catapult back on tracks. At least that is a positive. We have with that the virtual safety car. Lawson here will be coming into the pit lane. Is anyone else going to pit? It's going to be the big question. I think the answer to that's going to be no. AI really doesn't like taking advantage of this. As you can see, Lawson actually comes out in 17th place, so we saved it a little bit more than just those 17 seconds. And if we run conserve here, we should be able to make the tires last. Yamamoto here comes in as the virtual safety car is ending, and it's going to get shuffled to the back of the pack as a result. But yeah, now that that virtual safety car is done with, everyone will start pitting. And once that happens, we'll be seeing some pretty big change to the order. Antonelli has crashed. Kind of looked like the wing was bent there for a second. We've had yet another incident. Andrea Kimi Antonelli with the RB by the looks of it just gets squished into the wall. That is very unfortunate. And I mean, we could see a penalty here going the way of Gasly, and he does in fact pick that penalty up. Not unsurprising, mind you, that the incident there does result in punishment. And we do need to try and get these tires up to 90 degrees, which is going to be a little bit challenging.
Window is open.
Ocon now, it is time to start pushing. We are 7 seconds behind Russell and Verstappen. And honestly, they have been quite quick around here. So I guess we're seeing upgrades already start taking effect. From 25 seconds from one race to 7 seconds behind at halfway point. It's not a great change, if you will. And Behrman here is quite a lot quicker than us too, by the looks of it. Lawson now should be able to get Hamilton. And with that, we're back into the points. Everyone still needs to pit again. We're going to run these tires colder than we probably want to. We kind of have to just get through this. And honestly, I think it is the best option. 21 seconds off the lead right now. Tsunoda does in fact pit. Can we beat the RB out? Hard tires is the choice there. And for Lawson here, does beat them out very, very nicely there. Schumacher up next. We have another yellow flag. As Tsunoda has just exited pits and immediately picked up damage.
Now is that the Williams involved? So this is
Yamamoto is involved in this.
right, we're taking
What happened
the
here?
second corner. Pushing a bit too hard at this point.
Is that an unsafe rejoin from Tsunoda? I think that is what it would be judged as, honestly. More so than anything else, which is unfortunate. Tsunoda did, in fact, lose part of the front wing there and just came out of the pits. Yamamoto actually gets penalized for that. Okay, probably a little bit too aggressive then. I assume maybe crossing the pit exit line. I can see that being an issue. For Lawson here, what are we looking at in terms of lap times right now? 132.5. It's a little bit worse than Ocon, but Ocon is full send. And honestly, at this point, we can just go back up to light because that is the expected degradation. So let us do that. For Ocon, we're just going to allow him to go full send a little bit longer. Lots of penalties in this race. And honestly, with all the cars crashing and the confidence changes, as a result of that, we could still see more incidents this race. As Tsunoda actually goes in for a new front wing. Comes out next to another car. Verstappen now has caused a virtual safety car and is out of this race. Just incident after incident here. Basically pulls a bit more brutal of a check, if you will. Do I want to take advantage of this virtual safety car here to pit Ocon? I still think Ocon can get more advantage out of these tires. I think Ocon can get more than 3 seconds out of these tires, particularly if we're going to see more teams go for for mediums and hard tires. So for Ocon, I think he doesn't have anything to worry about right now. I think we can still just get a little bit more out of this. That's basically what it boils down to. I can get a little bit more out of this situation before we pit. And we can also, of course, go back to a little bit of push here. No need to save fuel anymore. Okay. We're probably going to do 2, 3, maybe 4 laps here for Ocon before we pit him. And, yeah, we'll have to see what we can do here with Lawson. We might just not be... enough to run light. We might need to be a little bit more aggressive. But if we can, say, stick with Pocher right now, who has overtaken us... that could change things. Pocher is on fresh mediums. And it would also help bring temperatures up, which is actually what is happening right now. So we'll take that. Ocon, we are doing 131s. Pocher is doing 128s. That's a little bit worrying. But again, once we get fresh tires on, that shouldn't be an issue. Let's do one more lap here for Ocon after he crosses the line, and then we'll get him into the pit lane. It's gonna need to do a little bit of overtaking towards the end there, but I think that will be okay. Also now with Norris, with Pocher, with Albon up into 4th, straight up. And a slow-ish stop here, 4 seconds. That's gonna hurt a little bit here, but we should still beat Sargeant out. We do in fact do that, and we're still 6th right now. And Rivas needs to pit. We have 20% tire advantage. Albon is about to run into puncture territory. Yeah, I think Ocon will be fine here. He'll have no problem just immediately flying past Albon. And honestly, deploying some energy to make it happen faster is probably worth it, because Albon is going to cost us 2-3 seconds a lap. So yeah, that pit stop issue, an extra 2 seconds. No, it's going to be more than that, simply because we are struggling to get past Albon, and now we're being kettled by Sargeant of all people, so we can't actually get the room needed to navigate by. Luckily, just like that, we are finally by. And yeah, as you can imagine, we did lose a decent chunk of time on that. 35.6 for Albon, 30.31 for the rest. That is kind of worrisome. But we'll go back to light here. and we'll allow things to just progress slowly. Russell has very similar tires to us. We'll have to see if we can actually catch him before the end. We have another safety car here as Gasly has crashed. This is going to change things again. And I think for Ocon, staying out is the correct choice. For Lawson, staying out is genuinely probably also the best choice. I'm actually a little bit uncertain here what we want to do. If we do pit, how much do we stand to lose? 17 seconds. We could fall down to 9th. 12 laps to go. We don't have soft tires. Rivas is going to need to pit. I think it is going to be worth it. But for Ocon here, 11%. I don't think that's going to help. Ocon does risk a little bit more in terms of where he could end up here. 17 seconds, 23. Could fall outside of the points if we're unlucky. So, Lawson, get those mediums on. They are technically slower, but you'll be able to go full attack basically till the end.
Right, so this was the 4th corner.
And for Ocon, we'll just dabble on staying out.
Making contact with the barrier.
That's exactly the same thing that happened to Palumbo. And then Palumbo took out Piastri instead. Okay. Now the question is Yamamoto going to go into the pit lane? Because if so, serving that penalty is going to shuffle down the order. Yeah, we are. We're all going in here. Lawson, Yamamoto, Prich, all of them. And clean stop there for Lawson, which basically means we are being promoted. Bottas is actually not going to get us here. So Lawson actually does an amazing pit stop. Russell decides to stay out. We stay out with Ocon. And as you can see, there's used tires for most cars, which is kind of what I expected. And kind of why I decided to just play it safe and have Ocon stay out, because we'll basically have the same tires, which means that there's no advantage either way. So yeah, this works. This works out perfectly fine. And for Lawson, can you go full attack till the end? You can, in fact, go full attack till the end. So that is basically what we'll do. We'll just swap in once the safety car is over and done with. We'll be able to push all the way till the end. And I'll have to see what we do with Ocon if we go full push on him too. Because he'll have enough tire to make that work. He'll have enough tire to make that absolutely work for us. Yamamoto is somehow 6th here after serving the penalty.
Try to get smart on the restart also.
Yeah, copy.
I think we're going to tune it up to aggressive. And we're going to just deploy from the get-go here. We want to clear Russell and have him be a problem for everyone else, except for us, if we can. Restart is underway. For high aggression here. For both of our boys. I haven't really had to do that before now. Yeah, 10 laps to go. Honestly, we can go full attack here, but I just want to leave myself a little bit of an out. Bottas, Prich, both of them are kind of falling off. Bottas with old hards. It's going to also play the role of holding people up. So yeah, let's just go full send. Put Lawson on neutral for the time being. He'll still be able to keep up, I think. And we need Ocon here to just find a way by as quickly as possible. I don't want to have too much heat going into those tires. And the quicker we get by, the better. Seems like the ATG car right now has better straight line speed than our car, which is a bit of an issue. It's a bit of a problem, if you will. Let us see here what Ocon can do. And as you can see here, Lawson is keeping up even without no ERS usage. Ocon gets by and then immediately gets shuffled back down. Yeah, we're going to have to run him standard here purely to save a little bit of tire towards the end. You can still stay with him with the RS. Save a little bit of battery. But yeah, this is a little bit worrisome. Not gonna lie. We have both the ATG cars with us. Ocon is falling off a little bit here, so back to full attack. And for Lawson here, if we can create a gap here and get away from Russell, that would actually be kind of huge. So I'm going to allow that to happen for Lawson here. then Russell will have to deal, then Ocon will have to deal with Russell in his own way. It looks like we've already gotten the breakaway we needed here, not gonna lie. And with that, I think we can just speed up the last couple of laps here. We have another safety car deployed, Schumacher. This could be a red flag. Schumacher is stuck in the middle of the track. Yeah, you accelerated into that wall. This is Schumacher Gate. Schumacher Gate, red flag. We had this in the bag. 1-2 was ours for the taking. And then Schumacher just speeds up straight into the wall here. Listen to the engine. Accelerates into the wall. Honestly, this is the best I can do. And it's not even great. I guess I'm happy that we saved a fresh set of softs right now. For Ocon. Is this going to be 1-2 lap shootout? We'll see.
And it's lights out and away we go.
Lights out, away we go. Full deploy on both cars here. Let's see if we can have a clean start. Not the best start from Ocon. Better start from Porsche, honestly, but the inside line, which then becomes the outside line, does not do us any favors here. Ocon falls down to 3rd place with just 1 lap to go here. Our advantage is minimum, and we have another crash on the restart here. Tsunoda and Antonelli, I believe it is. No. The Williams car just drives into the wall, and then Tsunoda is a unfortunate victim. That's actually kind of nuts. Behrman is out, and we have a red flag. We have a red flag on the final lap, but Cher gets 2nd place here on just jumping us on the...
It's an excellent drive today.
This has been a wild Jeddah race, and we bug out too. Antonelli gets a win here somehow. Where did... How did Lawson end up 12th? Okay. Ref, I need a recount, please. The world is wild here. I think what has happened here is straight up that some drivers swap position, because if I'm not mistaken, Lawson was leading and Antonelli was involved in that incident further back. And now he won. But yeah, we're gonna leave it here. I'm gonna just save the autosave, and worst case scenario, we'll rerun the race, because this has been a wild one. I don't mind losing out like this because it's hilarious. Stroll somehow up into 7th. But let me know what you think. We can redo this next time around, or we can just say tough luck, kid, and eat this. We'll figure that out. I genuinely don't know. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. Sorry that it's been a while since my last video. It's been a pretty busy and kind of rushed start to the summer. But hopefully now the summer break is, or rather summer vacation, is upon me. We'll have a load of small videos over summer. That's at least what I'm hoping for. Again, thank you very much for watching. If you have anything to comment on this wild Jeddah race, and I'll start with Haas, please let me know. I do read every comment, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.